Today we're doing red grapes and sausage pasta. Now you may be wondering, grapes? And what I'm trying to do is show you that even though we often use tomatoes as the vegetable fruit that goes in a sauce, you can use other kinds of fruits as well. And in the summertime, grapes are as often as abundant as tomatoes. So we're going to substitute out the tomatoes and put in red grapes instead. I'm using seedless grapes to make it a little bit easier. Get started, I've got 6 ounces of sweet Italian sausage. You could use a spicier type of Italian sausage if you chose. I'm using a sweet variety. If it comes in a casing, make sure you take it out of the casing first. Put it over medium heat in a large skillet and let it come to brown. And you want it to get nice and brown. So this may take you 10 to 15 minutes. It's on medium heat, nothing high. So give it plenty of time. And then we're going to drain the fat away by moving it to a paper towel lined plate, and we'll move on from there. Once your sausage is browned, again, you want to drain any excess fat away from it, but don't worry about cleaning out the pan too much. If you wanted to, you could put a little bit of wine or something in there and clean that off, but we're going to do some more cooking in there. So most of this is going to get scraped up as we go. This is going to sit, so make sure that it's completely cooked. You're not going to cook it further later on. So let me get the burner back on. And I'm going to add to it about a tablespoon of olive oil. You could use another kind of oil if you chose. I just have that one and I like the flavor of it. So here we're looking for a good flavor. And then I've got a small onion or half of a medium onion, sliced fairly thin. I'm using a red onion. It makes a good color in here. And then I'm adding some fennel. And add about the same amount of fennel that you added onion. So this is about 1 fennel bulb, and it was a half of a medium onion in order to get what I've got in the pan as we're going. The fennel is got the same flavor as the Italian sausage because the Italian sausage has fennel seed in it. So if you don't want to use the fennel or you can't find the fennel, you're not growing it, you can leave it out. You could also even add some celery to it if you chose to. Also going to add to it 2 cloves of chopped up garlic and 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm going to go a little bit light on that. We can always add some more in later. We're going to stir this around and we're just going to let this start to soften up a little bit. And then we're going to add a few more things to it and let it cook a little while. Okay, we're going to add a cup of lower sodium chicken broth. And this is what's going to get the rest of those bits off the bottom, or the fond off the bottom of the pan. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of seedless red grapes that we have obviously washed and removed the stems for. Try to get seedless though, otherwise it can be a chore to eat this. So there's that, and then 1/4 teaspoon or more, depending on how much you like spicy things, of red chili flakes. And we're going to let this come to a boil. Then we're going to turn it down a little bit, and it's going to simmer for about 10 to 14 minutes. The goal here, the grapes are going to burst and kind of some of their juices are going to come out into the sauce. And it's nice if the sauce thickens up a little bit as we go. Now, since this has got some time to cook, this is a good time to put some pasta on to cook. You can already have the water going. I only have 1 element here, so we couldn't do them simultaneously. But if I was home, I'd have the big pot of hot water going, get the pasta in it so that it can cook according to the package directions. Add a minimal amount of salt because we're going to add salt to here. We're going to add some Parmesan cheese. We've already added some salt to it. A little bit of salt, though, is important to help flavor that pasta. Otherwise, you just don't get the goodness from the pasta. But if you add too much, you can't use the pasta water later. So sometimes people will say it should taste like the ocean. And my memory isn't good enough to know exactly how that is. So 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt in the pasta water is probably enough to infuse some flavor into the pasta itself and still keep the sodium content of the water low enough that if you wanted to use some of that pasta water to thin a sauce or to make it a little bit add a little bit of starch to it because of the starch that comes out of the pasta as it cooks. You can still do so without over-salting the dish. So we'll give this some time, remove some nature from it, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Okay, you can see that the grapes have split open and the sauce is concentrating, and that's what you're looking for. You just get it down, so if yours isn't going at the speed you want, you might turn the heat up a little bit, but you probably are going to want to stir it a little bit more often. Then we're going to put our sausage back into the pan. Now, how much you break up the sausage is totally up to you as you're cooking it. If you want bigger chunks, that's perfectly fine. Stir that together. I'm going to stop the heat on the pan. And then the next step is to stir in the pasta after we get those stirred together, and we're just about ready for dinner. So I have chosen a pasta that's got a fair amount of shape to hold the sauce. And there, we're just about finished. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of black pepper, and this is optional. You can do it or not, or you may want to taste it, or you may want to pass it around. And then a little bit of grated Parmesan or shredded Parmesan, and again, pass that around the table if folks want more. And then some chopped basil. And this you don't want to put in while it's cooking because it doesn't look near as pretty and it doesn't give you the same amount of flavor. So there you go. I hope you'll give this one a try. It's something a little bit different than what we usually do during the summer, replacing tomatoes with another fruit. So give it a try. It's red grapes and sausage pasta. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.